Hello, it's Sarah. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here with me today. So, today, February 11th, the day of this recording, is 10 years to the day since I started this business. And for this solo episode, I wanted to just kind of reflect on what this journey has been. So, it's really funny. I never actually intended to start a business, that was not in my plan. But life, as you know, sometimes has different plans for us. I studied dance in college, dance. And then I became a yoga teacher. And then I got to do this program that I had had my eye on since I got my bachelor's degree, which was to become a certified movement analyst and a registered somatic movement therapist. I loved body language, I loved body movement. And so I wanted to learn more. And once I finished that program in 2015, I was like, well, I want to get a business bank account so that I have somewhere to put the money that I will get when I have clients. And so I started a business. That was literally all that I thought about going into it. But I didn't really care if it grew much because I had other things that I was focused on, mostly my little family. My kids were quite young at the time. So there we were, just getting by. And I kept on getting this nagging, persistent feeling, prompting, prodding, whatever you want to call it, that I needed to grow my business. I had a couple of clients here or there, people that just found me. I did start an Instagram account, by the way, when I started my business, my own business Instagram account. But besides that, I hadn't really tried much. But about a year into business, I was like, all right, well, I'll just do this workshop. And I rented space in my kids' preschool. And I had flyers made. In fact, I made them myself and then got them printed somewhere. And I remember I took these flyers to like coffee shops, yoga studios, dance studios, any of the places that I knew of that you could just stick a flyer up. I put it up there. And then the night of the workshop came. We got a babysitter. My husband came with me. We went to the preschool and waited. My parents came. One of my brothers and his wife came. And a friend who lived nearby came with her husband. And that was it. I even had some family who had said they were going to come who bailed on me, which is totally fine. But here I was, my first time really putting myself out there, and I didn't have the turnout that I had been hoping for. And thus began a very long series of me planning things that didn't really take off the way that I hoped they would, and me finding out that I needed to learn more about this thing called business. I had rented dance studios to teach movement classes in, and I wasn't making enough back to even cover the cost for the studio. I had to quit doing those. I had book clubs that I invited people to that nobody came to. Nobody even read the books. I had free community nights where we could meet up together to have dinner together, and nobody came. Nobody came. In fact, I remember coming home from one of these free community nights that I was going to host that nobody came to. And I remember coming home and crying about it. But even then, I distinctly remember telling myself, you know what, Sarah? This is going to just add so much more to your success story when you get there. It's just a good part of it, a good part of the story that will show the struggle and how far I've come. And so I kept on going. I kept on going. I remember about probably 3 years into business when I started being like, okay, I have got to take this more seriously. I'm going to spend some of my precious business money that I had made, and I'm going to go to a brand workshop. It's like an all day thing. I'm going to learn about how to build a brand because I'd been taught like that was foundational for having a business. So I went to this event. I remember sitting in the audience, looking up at the woman who was hosting this event, and she was on stage. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. That's what I want to be doing. I want to be on stages. I want to fill rooms with people. And she sat up there on stage. I remember this so clearly. She said that it took her 10 years to get where she was. I remember sitting there in the audience and I was like, 10 years? No way. I do not want that to be me. I don't want it to take 10 years. I will be in my 40s by then. There's no way. And I was like, I'm not all for that at all. I'm going to make sure that I can do it faster. Oh, here I am, 10 years in, 10 years in. And guess what? I'm still not where I want to be yet. It was probably about 8 years into this journey that I literally burnt out. And for my health's sake, I had to really take a step back from business and I had to cut way back and I was hardly doing anything at all, hardly any work. Um, and up to that point, there'd been so many nights me sobbing on my bathroom floor, saying, that's it, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. I'm gonna quit. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. My life would be so much easier if I quit. And so when my health forced me to almost basically quit, there was minimal stuff going on. I learned something really important. My life was easier. It was easier without this business thing looming over me. But guess what? It wasn't better. It was a good lesson for me to learn. And I got back up once my health let me, and I dove in harder. I made bigger investments. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on learning how to do things, how to talk about my business in a way that like people understand and that it's appealing to them. And the thing that I have learned the most is that I spent so much time circling around the one thing that I had that worked the most for me. Now, yes, I needed to learn the things that I learned from all those business coaches that I hired and the courses that I took. I needed to learn those things, but I also needed to learn that the way I was showing up in my business, the way I carried myself and stood and talked, that had a direct effect on my business. So you might think, well, Sarah, you kind of have training in that, like literally. Why didn't you put two and two together and realize that it was affecting your business? And here's the thing, I spent so long in the wellness space that it never occurred to me. I spent so much time just focusing on helping people feel and helping them be okay that I forgot that body language doesn't just communicate to you personally and your own well-being and how you view yourself, but it communicates to others. When it first started, the little first kernel of this occurred to me was I was teaching a program on confidence. And as I was getting ready to launch this program out into the world, in order to feel really good about what I was teaching to the people who would join this program, I was like, okay, I have got to make sure that I am fully embodying this. I'm going to just make sure that I can do this and that it does work. So that's what I did. And I didn't think that anybody would notice. It didn't even occur to me because these were teeny shifts and they were things that I was already doing because of the training that I'd had. It was more turning up the volume on it. I turned the volume up on it without thinking people would notice, and they did. They did. I worked really hard on my sales page, but that's not why they joined. They joined, and I know this because each person who joined the program told me this on their own time, in their own way, just privately. Hey, guess what? I joined because of what I saw in you. And I realized not just that it was important in my business, because it was, my income doubled that year, but that I already had the tools to teach other people how to do this. Here we are, year 10, going into business again after a decade of iterations. I am so grateful for the one thing that I did come into business equipped with that man has been challenged in a way that I didn't know possible, my grit. And I am so grateful for the training that I had about body language and movement, because that's what I'm doing now, is helping other people learn how to embody what they do, to embody that certainty, that authority. And I'm really excited for what happens this year. I feel like things are clicking. All those things that I've learned along the way are starting to pay off. I'm starting to see some of the things that I have been dreaming of happening for a long time are starting to happen. And no, along the way, it's not like it was all failure and all crickets. Good things happened. So much good transformation with countless people that I was able to help in that wellness space. But here we are, year 10, and I'm going to call it right now. This is the year that I become an overnight success after 10 years of not giving up. I hope that my story, I mean, please don't let it, I hope that it does not take you this long, but I hope that my story just inspires you to keep on going, that it is worth it. Nothing you learn along the way is wasted. And if you have that persistent prodding, that sense of purpose, keep going, listen to it, learn your lessons along the way. You'll be guided where you need to go. Big things are in store for you. Thank you so much for joining me today on my 10-year anniversary, and we'll see you next time.